Hello boys and girls, and welcome to Mad Old Goes Racing. And for tonight's bedtime story, I'm going to be reading from that wonderful tome by Risa, Automobilista 2, with the latest chapter, 1.3.0.0. So, if you're all sitting comfortably, I'll stop taking the piss. Okay? So, what do we got? Well, this is the latest update, as I said, 1.3.0.0, and I've just moved my cursor and buggered myself. So, most important thing to say before you start doing anything with this update is make sure you delete all of your current setups, because some of the changes are quite large, and you'll find if you're buggered about your setup it might be completely horrible. This is an ongoing thing again. This is sort of still a work in progress, so there might be one or two cars that even with default setups are a little bit iffy, but don't panic, they're getting round to it. So, content. They've added the Volkswagen Polo and the Virtus to the TSI Cup class. If you didn't see, they've produced a demo in association with like the Brazilian equivalent of Top Gear. I'll link to it below. Added updated Azure 2021 to replace the old Azure. That is basically been redone with a laser scan of the surface, so that should be a lot smoother. General added support for customizing AI driver names and personalities. See information for customizing AI drivers in AMS version 1.34 details. That's obviously a link, so I'll make sure I link to this so you can link to that. Minor revisions to shadow cascading parameters. Oh, my bloody tablet's gone mental. Come back. Slightly improving shadow quality, especially for high and lower settings. UI and HUD. Added driver profile statistics page. Added a minimum rating information to server browser. Lobby page. Condensed mutually exclusive icons to one field, switched to short vehicle names, added player rank information, extended player interaction pop-up to include remote player profile information, added Steam profile link and friend request button, added full variant tachometer, default option for new profiles, reordered vehicles by names, numbers in the vehicle selection screen, revised and corrected all UI vehicle information addressing several inaccuracies, updated label of exit to main menu button on multiplayer session result screen, fixed session overview and pre-event menu alignment, fixed race session settings being incorrectly displayed on the test day session overview. FFB added a default plus profile. That's a new profile that's got a bit more feel for road variation, shall we say. Exposed FFB gain per vehicle to FFB script files. Adjusted base gyro damping FFB calculations. Reduced FFB parking force multiplier to minimise rattling when standing still. Physics, and this is the big bugger, extensive revision to all tyres and driveline models with several corrections and improvements. The driveline updates include addition of elasticity modelling and fixing a bug clutch LSD preload calculation. Revised ABS and traction control slip ranges and scaling. Adjusted camber and toe step increments. Now all camber and toe adjustments are plus and minus 0.1 degrees in cars that weren't already set to that standard. Revised default setups of all cars to more suitable baseline. Like I said, that's still a bit of a work in progress, so don't panic if something still feels a bit iffy. Revised body drag coefficients of sprint race Caterhams, all models Caterhams. That's Caterhams twice, but whatever. Formula Classics, BMW M6 and M8. Revised Ginetta G55 setup and aero distribution. F Retro, that actually says R Retro, confused me. Gen 1, moved diffuser centre of pressure slightly forward. Sprint race, slightly reduced brake torque, increased body drag coefficient, minor centre of gravity height adjustment. Formula V reduced baseline steering lock by 1.5 degrees, adjusted Super V8 FFB smoothing, wheel rates I've moved too far. Raised default tyre pressure. Revised drag coefficients for... and that sentence is finished, so you'll never know. GT3 revised baseline rear downforce for all models for more accurate aero balance. Ginetta G55 revised default setup and aero distribution, slightly reduced brake torque and default bias. Sprint race minor cog height diffuser adjustment, slightly reduced brake torque and adjusted default brake bias. BMW M4 minor default setup adjustments and aero revisions, slightly reduced pneumatic trail. Corvette C3 revised driveline and suspension geometry. Montana minor aero adjustments, revisions. I'm making the words up as I go along. Porsche Cup minor rear wing and default setup revisions. Porsche Cayman GT4 corrected error switching damper rates to non-existent fast dampers, which might explain why it was a little bit bouncy, because it was undamped when you went past a certain point. Revised BMW M6 M8 body drag coefficient contributes to BOP. AI, general AI calibration for all cars, further fine tuning still in order. Bathurst revised AI performance, adjusted AI grip multipliers for Kansai, Alton, Nürburgring, Donington, Santa Cruz, Spa 1993 to minimise gaps to player performance based on spreadsheet results. Adjusted AI corner cut scale to reduce corner cutting by the AI. Adjusted F1 AI field spread. Adjusted GT AI brake distance offset. Audio, updated tyres road rolling sounds, slightly drier and less windy artefacts in it. Updated samples for external camera instead of filtered sample for dry, wet road sounds. Adjusted AJR Nissan V6 engine. Porsche GT3R fixed issues with transmission, became inaudible off throttle. Porsche Cup corrected surface sounds. McLaren 720S fixed missing traction control sound. Adjusted traction control sounds. Tracks, Virginia, several graphical and physical corrections. Minor AI tweaks, north pit layouts, adjusted brake marker positioning, Velocita, further track adjustments according to latest reference material. Bathurst, fixed hotel railing transparency in fog conditions. Kyalami Historic, fixed red building Z-fight, crowd LODs, some minor static object LOD pops, minor Z-fight in tree line. Campo Grande, Ebola 72, 88, 2001, 3D crowd LOD fixes. Goinia, minor LOD fixes. Monza 91, fixed holding grass at Della Roggia Chicane. Vehicles. We'll get there eventually, don't panic. Mercedes E190 DTM fixed windscreen issue. Caterham's fixed right front cockpit tyre spinning the wrong way. Interesting. Copa Montana fixed sticker LOD issue. I'm making it up again, aren't I? Make this a bit bigger so I can read it. Chevette textures updates and fixed light issue. Puma GTB fixed cockpit external mirror flickering. Porsche 911 RSR corrected cockpit camera position. Corvette C3 corrected cockpit camera position. Formula Classic G3 M1 fixed RPM display bar. Passat HC fixed bonnet camera position. Sprint Race corrected RPM lights. Cart Shifter corrected RPM lights. Corrected look back camera for Arc Camaro. Formula Classics all models. Formula Retro V12. Lotus 72E Metal Moro MRXP4. McLaren F1 LM. BMW M6 GT3 fixed display lap time issue. Formula Troma Advanced fixed cockpit dashboard issue. And I think, oops, shit, what have I done? Pressed a button. Don't do that. There. Ooh, and that is that. But I'm going to scroll up and just make sure I've not missed anything else. This is the first of several updates on this dev cycle, and as it says, all about the physics in the FFB. They've made some massive revisions to the driveline, the differential, especially the LSD. It's all about the calculation of how it goes on to off transition, so when it's engaged and not engaged. It's much smoother now, so you should notice that a lot. They've also added this elasticity to all the driveline components, so if you're in a very torquey car going up the pit lane, you should hear a lot more the sort of warbling of the engine sounds and things like that. So it should make a huge difference. The physics updates are all about this particular one. There should be some hot fixes, and the Racing USA Part 2 should come out next week. Quite when next week, I don't know, but it says just next week. So that's something really to look forward to. This new Default Plus profile for the FFB. Does it actually say... No. There should be a dedicated thread soon about how to set it up. There you go. I knew there was something about it. It was basically a piece of information to say there'd be some pieces of information later. It's also got the beta version of the multiplayer rating system. I've just been pinged. There'll be more information about that soon in another dedicated thread. So, yet again, keep an eye on the forums. And the TSI Cup class, which is the VW Polo and Virtus from the Accelerado's demo released last week, is now included in the main game. On the track front, the exhaust circuit has been completely overhauled with the aid of laser scan data. So there you have it. I think that's covered everything. They're going to reset the time trial leaderboards at some point as well, because there's massive changes. So let me just throw this over here so I don't stand on it again like I did the other week, which was slightly silly. Right, we're going to go in and have a look at the Caterham Superlight. Now, one of the things this new FFB profile is meant to bring out is a lot more of the reaction of the suspension, so that you get more interaction from what's happening with the front wheels going up and down. And personally, I'm not seeing it where people are saying they're seeing it through the dip at the bottom of Bray Hill. Bray Hill? No, it's not Bray Hill, is it? After the first corner at Brands Hatch. Is it Bray Hill? Oh, too many circuits, too many names. But what I am feeling is a hell of a lot more jostling up and down as you go down the straights from the I was going to say road noise, but it's not road noise per se, it's just road undulations, if you like. So if you swap between the Default and the Default Plus, you should notice you're getting a lot more interaction down the straights at a sort of a lower frequency as you're going over these little bumps and undulations, whereas with the older one, you're getting more of a sort of vibrations rather than undulations coming through. But most importantly, the main thing is the way the car reacts with the changes in the driveline and the diff. It's so much smoother now, and what we're going to do is have a drive around here, try not to stall, because I don't think I've got the auto clutch on. I'll just try to remember whether I got the Default or the Default Plus on at the moment. Yeah, we're on Default Plus at the moment, so we'll leave it on that. I think it's press the right button and get my brain in gear. No, that one. That one. It does feel a little bit heavier, so you might have to adjust the gain a little bit, or per car gain. But overall, I think it's slightly better. It's one of those, I haven't actually driven it enough to actually tell you for definite one way or the other, but there's a lot more happening in the steering wheel, sort of over the lumps and bumps in the roads. So now I'll try not to make a complete tool of myself as we start off here. The way the car reacts under throttle to things like that, where you're just gently on the throttle, sort of accelerating, before what would have happened was the diff would have suddenly just gone, yeah, whatever, and switched on or switched off, and you'd have ended up with a car suddenly snap rotating. Whereas now it's so much more gentle and gradual, so you get these nice smooth transitions on and off the throttle. So somewhere like what's the name of the bloody corner? The sort of little loopy corner at Silverstone. Oh god, it's great on a Sunday morning when you wake up and your brain's going, no, I can't remember the name of any bloody thing. You'd be on and off the throttle there, and you find the car sort of going like this as you're sort of transitioning on and off throttle, and it was really horrible. Whereas now it's just like super smooth. You can just tweak the throttle on and off a little bit, and you won't really notice huge sort of jumps of rotation. It's all really nice and lovely and smooth and great. So I'm not really pushing the car stupidly hard, but it just feels so nice compared with what it felt like before. Now, there were one or two things that got changed that didn't appear to be in the or if I did read it, my brain was going whatever. There's a press the right button, that one will do. In the HUD they have changed the punch me screen, stupid thing to do. This here, if you click on it, you now get minimum speed off or full. Now I will just put that on, and as you can see, it's a sort of full speedo with lots of information on it, all the traction control, ABS, stability control, little lights to flash on and off, fuel, and I think I'm not sure if it's oil or water temperature, but it's one of your engine temperatures basically. Speedo, and then at the bottom you've got little things to say brake, throttle and clutch, and I think they've actually got the throttle and the clutch the wrong way around, but whatever. Of course, if you put that on, you then lose the sort of basic tyre temperature information, so your mileage may vary on which one you want, so to speak, but I mean, it is a change that maybe they'll put some more little bits and pieces in the sides to say tyre information, because obviously you've now got no tyre wear, no tyre temperature info without flicking over to another HUD screen, unless of course you're using something like a sim hub. But this just feels so nice. And it's so nice and smooth, the transitions. Even the 620R, which is a fucking animal of a car, is so much easier to control now. They did actually find a little bit too much, but again, easy to catch, easy to correct. They did find there was an issue with some of the components in the tyres, which is why the update's taken a bit longer to come out than it should have done. And basically they were finding some of the components that should have been in some tyres were swapped over with components in other tyres or some such. There's basically a syntax error, but it was made that curb definitely kicks a lot more than it did on the other FFB. So you can do silly things like that around a hairpin then, and it's so much easier to do. Before that would have been a case of, I've lost it. You have to be a bit careful getting the back end up around here because of the slope. Little bit of understeer. But it's all so much nicer to drive. All the cars are nicer to drive. There's still the odd issue, I think, with the sort of tyre drop off when they get too hot. Sort of you do 4 or 5 laps and then you'll find that the tyres get past a certain point and you just find weird shit happening. Hopefully they're getting their head around that next and they'll be able to sort out that. So I think it's just a case of over a certain temperature the tyres seem to go from having decent grip to dropping off a bit too much. So it might just be they need a very small tweak. in the sort of over temperature or above certain temperatures, and it's different on different tyres, and it's not across the board with all of them. It's just sort of some of the tyres are a little bit squirrely above a certain temperature, but this is just ridiculously nice to drive now. And I have to say, I haven't found a car yet that I've tried in the last few days in the beta that's particularly nasty. There's one or two that you're thinking, yeah, that still needs a little bit of work, but that curb's very heavy now. Let's see if we can really get it spinning. Yep. People who like drifting, I think they're going to really enjoy this. It's getting ridiculously fun to do. And as you can see, it's really nice to control. That extra downshift. If I'd have done that before, it would have been pirouetting everywhere. So, like I said, the transitions are just so much smoother and nicer now. And you can just hold these little drifts everywhere. It is sublime. Well, I haven't seen anybody yet who's gone, oh, that's shit. So everybody's been going, it's great. So hopefully this is the big step that they needed to make to really get people coming back to AMS2, because I think you will really enjoy it. In fact, I'm waffling whilst driving around because I'm just enjoying driving around. So that tells you everything you need to know about the how good it is. Actually encourages us to be a lunatic, but I think that's enough lunacy for now. Let me just have a quick look at a couple of other things. If you're a bit of a kart lover, you'll find that the wrong button. That one, yes. The supercar now has front brakes that actually work, which makes it so much more fun to drive. But we'll have a quick look at these TSI, I think they're right down the bottom, cars, TSI Cup. I meant to have a look in the showroom. Volkswagen Polo. I can't remember what the other one is. It's a very, 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 very something. But it's a 1.3. It's got not a huge amount of power, 110 brakes, something like that. But it's really good fun to drive. It's really controllable and nice. And the other one is the Virtus. Never heard of it, but whatever. Not a VW person, really. In fact, it's a road car. I own a Fiat Panda, I don't care. Again, all nicely modelled. Nice looking car. Just have a quick couple of laps in the Polo, just for the hell of it. 6-speed sequential, 130 brake horsepower, there you go. All the aids, ABS, TC, no stability control, so we should be able to see some flashing lights on the speedo. Might be. Yep, we have. So now you know what that light looks like. Now this, it doesn't bang up and down on a limiter in the way some of the other cars do, but well, I don't know if it feels better or worse on the Default or Default Plus. It's not the most exciting sounding car, I have to say. Oh, bit too much rotation there. Probably got cold rear tyres, but I can't tell at the moment because I'm using this. Hell of a gap between second and third gear. Come on, get your ponies going. Maybe I should have driven this first because it feels like driving through bloody treacle after driving a Superlight. Hey, nice enough car. I can't remember if this is a 3-cylinder engine or something bizarre. I can't remember. Ooh. Don't get on the grass. Oh, you can just about get the ABS to lock up. I'm surprised the ABS isn't kicking in more if I break into a corner a bit there. There definitely is a big old gap between second and third. Oh, there you go. You can make the ABS flicker on and off. But yeah, I mean, if you've got the full game, you can't actually download the demo anyway, so if you haven't got the game you can try the demo. Do I find these a good representation of what you're going to get? Yeah, they're reasonable. Is it going to set your world alight? No. But in terms of giving a feel for the game, yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if one of the demo cars was actually a rear wheel drive instead of both being front wheel drive. I think they're both front wheel drive. Because the FFB on front wheel drive cars is always a bit of a mixed bag. Sometimes they feel good, sometimes they don't, depending upon who's doing it. I think generally the front wheel drive cars in there, they're pretty good for force feedback. We drove the Cobra Uno, was it, the other week, and it was quite surprisingly fun and good. And that was before they'd done all the updates for the diff, etc. So they're probably even better now. So yeah, fun enough to drive. Just feel like you're out for a Sunday afternoon stroll after driving the other car, but you can't have it everywhere. No. I was trying to carry a bit too much speed there, but yeah, they're interesting enough car. Can I put that on? Bollocks, wrong button again. It's that one. But yeah, they're for a demo. I think they'll do nicely, and obviously they've got a target market, and they've done this with in cooperation with the Accelerados and TSI or whoever. So if you want to try the demo and you happen to have a spare computer that hasn't already got that on it, you might have to give yourself a second Steam account maybe just to try it. I assume it installs it in a different place, but I'm not trying it, so I wouldn't know. But I have to say this update is huge in terms of the way the cars drive. If you haven't driven AMS2 lately, for Christ's sake, get it updated and have a go in it and try out lots of cars, because I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised on how damn good it is and how much of a step it's taken. It is, I mean, some of the things I've been doing up to now have been little incremental baby steps. This is like a giant leap for mankind. Moon reference. And I have to say it's made a huge difference, and if you're sort of on the fence a bit about it, get off the fence, give it a try, because it's great. So I think that's enough waffling from me for now. Like I said, the part 2 of the Racing USA should be out this week. I look forward to a few beta updates to see what's actually in it. Like I say, there should be 3 circuits, and it should be lots of IndyCar. So I quite like the old IndyCar. So for me, for now, that's the end of your bedtime story. You can go to bed now. Enjoy your racing, and certainly enjoy this, and get it out, give it a go, have fun, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye. I forgot something, didn't I? I forgot to have a look at the stats page. So before we go, here's a look at the stats page. Now, like I said, they're gonna. My calorie is full, apparently. This is, I believe, fairly similar to what Project Cars 2 had in it. Lots of information. I'm sure it had some stats in it. My brain, it's too early on a Sunday morning. Can't even remember what day of the bloody week it is. But yeah, this is going to have all your starts, completed DNFs, etc., in it. How much your focus is, whether you're doing racing, qualifying, engineering. I'm quite interested to know what they consider engineering. Test days, presumably practice sessions. So yeah, this will track all your information. You can edit your info now, so you can change your profile name. This may actually show up in multiplayer later. They're looking at using this instead of your Steam name, I think. So if you're one of these people who likes to use your real name in your Steam name, or uses a pseudonym and wants to be able to use your real name for certain reasons, you can now change it. So it will have all your how you're getting on with your safety rating and everything else. So lots of that. Also, you can see your replays in here. So I might have 1 or 2 million in here. 1 or 2, just a few. God blimey. So yeah, that's that, and I will return you to your previous program.